It's Thoughtful Thursday, a space to slow down and unpack books that ask the deeper questions about life, meaning, and what really matters. Hey there, Marmy here. Ever wonder what a Roman emperor whispered to himself at 3 a.m., pacing his palace halls while trying not to totally lose his mind? Today, we're curling up with one of the oldest self-help journals in history, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. You'll see a mind map pop up on the screen to help keep everything organized. That way, if your brain drifts off thinking about lunch or laundry or what your crush meant by that one emoji, you can still hop back in without missing a beat. So here's the wild thing. This book, it wasn't even meant to be a book. It's a collection of personal notes, never intended for the public. No branding, no ego, just a man who also happened to be emperor of Rome, trying to figure out how to be a decent human being in a chaotic world. And the core idea? It's this: focus only on what you can control, your thoughts, your choices, and let everything else flow. Like, truly let it go, because most of it, you were never in charge anyway. What I love is that Marcus doesn't start with lofty wisdom. He begins with something surprisingly soft: gratitude. He lists the people who shaped him, and not just the obvious ones like mentors or teachers, but the quieter influences too. His grandpa, Varanus, who showed him how to keep his cool, his dad, who was all about humility and strength without the drama, his mom, who taught him to be kind and live simply, that blend of grounded and spiritual. Even his grammar teacher, Alexander, Marcus admired how he corrected people without embarrassing them. Respect. You can tell early on that Marcus was basically building his moral compass from bits and pieces of the people around him, not idolizing them, but noticing and absorbing. Then, just when you think he's going to settle into a calm rhythm, he hits you with the realities of daily life. He starts journaling about mornings where he wakes up already dreading the difficult people he'll have to deal with. Jealous folks, rude ones, selfish ones, relatable. But instead of spiraling, he reminds himself, people act out because they don't understand what really matters. And since we're all part of the same human fabric, hating them would be like a hand resenting a foot. It just doesn't make sense. He's not saying you have to love everyone, just don't let them knock you off your center. That's a theme that keeps coming up. This idea that peace isn't something you find by escaping to a beach or quitting your job or ghosting your entire contact list. The peace is already inside you. He calls it the inner fortress, and I love that image. Like your mind is this sturdy, quiet place you can retreat to when the world feels too loud. No plane ticket required. And right about here, he starts talking about time a lot. He's borderline obsessed with how fast it's all slipping away, but not in a panicky way, in a this moment is precious kind of way. He name drops folks like Hippocrates and Alexander the Great, reminding himself that even the biggest names eventually fade into dust. So why chase legacy or approval? Why stress over being liked or being remembered? It's this low-key liberating thought, like, if the most famous people in history are eventually forgotten, maybe you don't have to try so hard to be impressive. Maybe it's okay to just be enough. He also has this way of looking at nature that makes everything feel sacred without being sentimental. He points out things like cracks in bread, or how a fig splits open when it's ripe, not because they're traditionally beautiful, but because they're natural. They exist exactly the way they're supposed to, and that's what makes them beautiful, like wabi-sabi, but the Stoic version. So imagine applying that to your own life, not striving to be flawless or perfectly efficient, but learning to love the messy, real parts because they're part of your design. Okay, quick breather. Let's check in. So far, we've watched Marcus build his foundation with gratitude, defend his peace by setting mental boundaries, and start noticing the urgency of life. And now, right when you think he's gone full introvert philosopher, he takes us cosmic. And I mean way out, to the universe, the stars, the vastness of time. He talks about the universe as the seamless, ongoing flow. No spite, no malice, just things unfolding. And the sooner you learn to stop resisting that, the sooner you get to experience real calm. Here's where it gets kind of fun. He starts stripping things down literally. That fancy robe? Just sheep's wool dyed with shellfish blood. That wine? Grape juice. This isn't about being cynical, it's about seeing through the gloss. When you realize how much of what we chase is just dressed up stuff, you start caring less about appearance and more about essence. And of course, the whole idea of we're all in this together comes back strong. He leans into the idea that when you help someone else, you're really helping yourself, because we're all part of the same human organism. It's not charity, it's alignment. He pulls in Plato for backup and says that if you could stretch your perspective across centuries, you'd see how short our lives really are. Which sounds bleak, but somehow it's not. It actually makes life feel lighter. Like, okay, if this is brief, then let me be fully here for it. Let me be kind. Let me be fair. Let me be real. And here's something I didn't expect the first time I read it. He's shockingly forgiving when it comes to people messing up. If someone wrongs you, he says, ask yourself, what story are they telling themselves that made them think this was okay? Usually, it's not evil, it's just confusion, pain, ignorance. And you don't have to react. You don't have to let them pull you out of character. Your vibe is your responsibility. Now, in the final stretch of his writings, there's a quiet shift. It's not about other people anymore. It's about you. How you relate to yourself, your body, your thoughts. He says you're made up of three things: body, soul, and mind. And it's the mind, that rational, observing self, that's really you. That's the part that needs protecting. He gets into this idea that overthinking, isolation, inauthenticity, and chasing pleasure all weaken that core. And the goal? To be like a lamp, to shine steadily without flickering, right up until the end. No drama, just quiet strength. He brings up Socrates, who famously turned down wealth and influence to stay free and grounded. And even when things got rough, he didn't flinch. That's what Marcus is aiming for. Not perfection, but integrity. Even the way he talks about death is gentle. He compares it to grapes becoming raisins. It's not an end, it's a transformation, a return. And when it comes, he wants to meet it the way you'd fall asleep on a quiet night. No fear, no fuss. So what does all of this actually mean for us? Maybe it means building your own fortress. Not to hide in, but to return to when things get wild. A place in your mind where you remember who you are and what matters. Maybe it means caring a little less about winning and a little more about kindness. Saying the true thing even when it's awkward. Letting people be wrong without needing to correct them all the time. Maybe it means waking up tomorrow and not reaching for your phone, but just sitting with the fact that you woke up, that you get to try again. So if this resonated with you and you want to take a closer look or sit with some of these ideas a little longer, I've made a downloadable mind map and summary of this episode. It's totally free, just waiting for you in my Buy Me a Coffee shop, link in the description. Also, if you want to read meditations for yourself, I've also got an Amazon affiliate link below. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Marmy out.